The story is about a 15-year-old boy from the United States who had a difficult time in school. He was unpopular among his peers, who often made fun of him. The boy was skinny and not very strong, which made it easier for the stronger kids to bully him. He also had poor eyesight and had to wear large glasses that made him stand out even more. His classmates mostly ignored him, except when the other boys laughed at him. The constant teasing and feeling lonely made him prefer to stay in the classroom during breaks. He spent his time either reading or looking out the window, trying to stay away from the bullies as much as possible. 3 older students were the main culprits, so he avoided facing them. But even that didn't always help, as the bullies found a way to torment him. It seemed like they enjoyed making his life miserable. One day, these 3 bullies caught him in the bathroom. They were probably bored and thought it would be funny to dunk his head in the toilet, something they had done before. 2 of them held him upside down and put his head in the toilet, while the third flushed it. He couldn't breathe, and the bullies just laughed. But then they realized something was wrong. The boy wasn't moving. When they pulled him out and tried to stand him up, he fell and didn't move. The bullies knew they had done something terrible. The boy's body was lifeless, his eyes were wide with fear, and his mouth was open like he was trying to breathe. It got hushed. 2 bullies were frozen with fear, but the third one, the leader, quickly locked the bathroom door. Once the bullies calmed down a bit, they decided to hide the body. They didn't want to get in trouble. The main bully knew they had to remove the body without anyone noticing. So, he took a saw from the janitor's closet, a saw the janitor used to trim trees around the school. When they returned to the bathroom, they started cutting up the body. After they were done, they took the body parts to the gym, where there was a hidden space only they knew about. They put the body parts there and promised each other to never talk about it again. A month passed by. During that time, the missing boy's parents and the police visited the school several times but couldn't find any clues about where he had gone. But things changed suddenly. One day, the bullies came to school and found decaying body parts under their desks. It was the boy they had sent to the afterlife in Fairleigh. The school was chaotic, classes were canceled, and the hallways were filled with police. One of the bullies couldn't handle the pressure during questioning and confessed to everything. He described the murder and showed the police where the body parts had been hidden in the gym for a whole month. On that same day, an unbelievable story started circulating among the students, saying that the spirit of the boy still haunted the school and sometimes appeared in the bathroom. The bullies were arrested and put in detention. There, they faced violence from experienced criminals who hurt them physically and did even worse things. Later, a court sentenced the bullies to 15 years, but the group leader got a life sentence, the most severe punishment. Today, the school operates as usual. The secret hiding spot in the gym was sealed at the request of the boys' parents. A plaque was put on the wall nearby, explaining the crime and punishment. However, since then, during the darkest nights, the guards are afraid to leave their rooms because they hear footsteps, moans, and cries echoing through the school, coming from the bathroom where the boy's body was cut up. According to the school's legend, if you go into that bathroom, look into the mirror, and say, "I know who killed you," you might see the boy's figure behind you for a split second. After finishing extra classes that evening, I rode my bike home and found out I had left my phone in my classroom. I intended to return to get it, but I was afraid that the strict security guards wouldn't let me into the school this late, so I decided to wait until night and sneak in to get it. That night, I jumped over the back gate and quietly made my way towards Block C. It was an old building that had been standing for over 30 years since the school's founding. The hallway was completely dark, and the only source of light was a faint neon light that made me shiver involuntarily. I tried to calm down and continued walking up the corridor of Block B. But just as I was about to climb the stairs, I heard a voice close behind my ear. "How did you get in here?" Startled, I turned around but saw no one. I thought it might be the security guard on patrol, and I didn't want to get caught, so I quickly ran up the stairs. Upstairs, it was pitch black with no lights on. I stopped in my tracks and didn't dare to continue. During the day, the students would play happily here, but now the silence was eerie. I could hear my own breathing and heartbeat, and the soundlessness made it all the more nerve-wracking. With a deep breath, I gathered my courage and approached the classroom door. Just as I was about to open it, the light inside the room flickered on and off. The flashing continued until I stepped inside, and then suddenly, all the lights in the school went out. I was terrified, but since I was already in the room, I decided to search for my phone. I fumbled to my desk but couldn't find my phone in the drawer. I checked other tables, but it was nowhere to be found. Perhaps the cleaning lady had already taken it. Suddenly, my phone rang, and the light from the screen illuminated the teacher's desk. My heart nearly stopped when I heard the familiar ringtone. I quickly approached the desk, but the ringing stopped as soon as I touched my phone. I put it in my pocket and noticed a text message from an unknown sender. It read, "How did you get in here?" I was terrified and tried to leave the room, but the door was locked from the outside. My phone rang again, and I answered it, hoping for help. I said, "Help me. I'm stuck in a locked classroom. There's something strange here. Help me." But there was no response, only the sound of the wind blowing. I repeated my plea, and a ghostly voice replied, "No one is going to save you." That voice came right behind me, at the teacher's desk. I turned around and saw a man sitting on a chair, looking straight at me. At this moment, the light bulb flashed again and then went off, but it was enough for me to see the devil's face. It was a face utterly devoid of eyes, nose, mouth, a faceless man. I screamed in terror, banging on the door as hard as I could and screaming, "Someone save me, please." Behind me, still the monstrous grin and the hoarse, ghostly voice, "No one is going to save you." When I opened my eyes and woke up, I found myself lying on a small folding bed. "Where is this? Was what I saw just now a nightmare?" I glanced around. At this time, the school guard slowly approached from the door. He looked at me and asked, "Are you awake? Why do you go to school late at night? That practice room has been locked for several years. How did you get in there?" Screamed loudly and then faint. "I just called your mother to come pick you up." Without waiting for me to answer, he stood up, approached the coffee table, turned his back to me, poured water, and asked again, "How did you get in there?" The hoarse, ghostly voice was familiar, and when he turned his head, there was the face of the faceless man. As far as I can remember, I always hated my school. I don't know why. I just didn't like it. I guess not many would disagree with me that school is a living hell for each of us. Among all the other things, you could find a couple of positives in it, like making friends or laughing at someone. But what if you found a group to hang out with? That's even better, and it happened to me too. At first, everything was just fine. I thought I had found my place among my friends. We joked around and made fun of other kids. But I was wrong. It wasn't like that at all. One day, Arthur, one of my friends, came up to me on the way to school and told me about an abandoned building nearby. It was an old school that had been left to rot for years. Arthur was excited about exploring the building, and he invited me to come along. At first, I was hesitant, but I didn't want to be left out, so I agreed to join them. After school that day, we all met up and headed towards the abandoned building. As we walked, I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. I was nervous and scared, but I didn't want to show it. None of my friends talked to me as we walked, except for Arthur, who whispered that I would never forget this outing. I didn't know what he meant, but it made me feel even more uneasy. When we arrived at the building, it was already getting dark outside. The building looked even more scary than I had imagined. It was covered in vines and had broken windows and boarded up doors. I pulled out my small backpack and took out a slightly flickering flashlight. Danny handed me a small axe, and I used it to chop through the wooden planks blocking the entrance. The sound of the axe hitting the wood echoed through the deserted street. We entered the building one by one, and I could feel my heart racing with fear. The inside of the building was dank and musty, and the air was thick with dust. We walked through the empty hallways, our footsteps echoing loudly. I had a sense of foreboding, as if something terrible was about to happen. I was the first to step into that freaky place, but as I progressed, I felt a sense of dread creeping up. My gut told me to turn back, but I ignored it and continued with my companions. However, my tiny flashlight flickered and died at the most inopportune moment, leaving me in complete darkness. Panic set in, but my friends urged me on until I stumbled upon a small, narrow room that resembled a tiny chamber. As I entered, I was hit by a putrid smell that made me nauseous. I searched for my friends, but they were nowhere to be found. I tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge, as if someone was holding it from the outside. I called out to my companions, but all I could hear was their smirking laughter, which made me realize that they had left me behind as a cruel joke. I shouted,
"Guys, open up, this isn't funny."
The more I struggled, the more I felt like I was being held back. Suddenly, I heard something that sounded like a low growl. It got louder and louder until it was all I could hear. I was paralyzed with fear, and then I saw something that made my blood run cold. In the corner of the room, I saw a pale face with black eyes staring at me. It had long black hair that seemed to be moving on its own. I tried to scream for help but couldn't make a sound. The door handle started to shake, but it felt like someone was pulling it from the other side. The worst part came when Arthur, one of my friends, replied with a trembling voice,
"We're not holding you. Are you kidding?
Stop messing around. Come out." I went insane. I couldn't breathe or scream. It became freezing in that room. A creaking moan echoed and died down in an instant. I knew I had to get out of there, no matter what. I pulled with all my might on the door handle and finally broke free. I couldn't explain what had happened. No matter who I told, no one believed me. They all made fun of me. I remembered that day for the rest of my life. It was when I experienced absolute terror for the first time.